Hello, hello. Welcome. I was just reading Psalm 24, first verse. The earth is the Lord's and all it contains, the world and those who dwell in it. You know, it's really different when you own something versus when you use or borrow something from someone else. And I was thinking about that as I was reading. Anyway, good morning. Happy Saturday. How are you? Good to have you here. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the vlogcast, if you will. I'm grateful to have you here. You've never seen me before, you're just catching on. And for some of those who responded to last week's broadcast, you may be new. So, welcome. My name is Ronnie Harden. By trade, I am an editor, I'm a writing coach. I love to help authors fine tune their work and figure out how to publish it. And so that's what I do. But I also love to read stories, read stories, um, help create stories. And I've actually kind of started writing my own, and yet I hit a bump in March and I haven't recovered from that. So finally got through some writing deadlines and writing goals that I had for some clients. And so now I'm at a place where I can dedicate time to my own writing. So hopefully I'll have a story coming out here either later this year or the beginning of next year. I gotta sit down and fine tune all of that. But thanks for being here. Again, if you're new to the show, my name is Ronnie. Welcome. Aloha. Hope you're having a good day where you are. Hope your morning has started off well, and maybe you're catching this and it's already afternoon where you are, or maybe you're in Hawaii. Maybe you're not even awake yet, so you're having to watch this on the replay. Anyway, pull up a chair, snuggle up in your blanket, if you will. Good morning, Milo. Yeah, there he is. Good morning. Are you here to say hello to everyone? I know. It's so fun to say hello and to welcome God's little creatures on this earth. Well, again, if you're new to the show, welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm going to be giving away free books today during the broadcast. So if you want to get in on the drawing, definitely pop your name below. Say hello. Tell me where you're coming from. Good morning, Sherry. How you doing? Good to see you, my friend, up there in Fargo, North Dakota. How are the temps there today? It's kind of nice here. A little humid, nice and cloudy. Cooler. We love it cool down here in Texas for as long as we can have it. So I hope wherever you are and you're watching this, I hope that the day starts off well. And if nothing else, sit down and have some coffee with me. Let's chat for a bit. I've got some fun things to share with you. I've got some things to talk about. Because yesterday started off the weekend of Earth Day. Earth Day isn't just one day, it's every day, as my husband always says. Every day is Earth Day. We live on this beautiful planet. Michael and I have been working out in the yard planting flowers. We went to our local floral store, guys. Oh my goodness. I mean, this place, they also supply all of the landscape people. So when you pull up to this place, there's a special lane for all the guys who are landscape people picking up, doing job sites. But it's amazing. You can just flip through this and look at all of the beautiful flowers. Do you all like to plant in the spring? Oh my goodness. Just seeing all these beautiful, and which ones, and then which colors, I love gardening. I do. So anyway, we've been doing a lot of that. And because it's that time of year, right? It's that time of spring when we can get outside, we can do some projects, we can throw the garage doors open and clean it out, for goodness sakes. Right? I'm going to be going to Nashville here pretty soon and celebrating Mother's Day and my daughter finishing her semester. She's so close to being finished. My son started a new job. My grandson has just started talking a lot. So lots to celebrate, but I'm also going to be going there to clean the garage out there because, yes, I'm still working on that. Right? So, But Earth Day started yesterday, and it's a time when we focus on taking care of the planet that we live on. That's why when I was reading that passage, I looked up scriptures that had to do with the beauty of the earth, the gift that we've been given to live on this beautiful planet, right? And so our thoughts are focused on that. Now, Earth Day, here's some interesting information about Earth Day. Let me just give you some, let me see, where is my, oh, it's over there. Hold on. You can see part of my messy office. I compiled some facts. You may have seen them running in the video in the beginning, but I just kind of want to talk about a couple of them because for a lot of people today, they did not live through this. This was before they were born. And so, we take for granted when we get up in the morning, right? We get up and we flick on the light and we plug in the coffee pot and it comes on and we go in and we go to the restroom and we flush the toilet and we get up and we brush our teeth or maybe we take a shower, right? We start doing all of these things, taking for granted where all those things come from and what happens when we don't have them. You ever been out of electricity for a while? You ever had the power knocked out due to a storm and you're out, not just for like a couple of hours or maybe 20 minutes. I'm talking about days where there's no electricity, right? And is the water that's running even clean? When they have storms and the sewers start filling up, I mean, you can imagine, is the water even safe to drink? We take all of those things for granted as we sip our coffee out of today's mug, which, by the way, today's mug, since we're talking about the earth and beautiful places, of course, to me, the most beautiful place are the Hawaiian Islands. And so we'll be talking a little bit about that too, how much the Hawaiian people care about the land and their connection to the land. So let me give you a quick little history lesson. For those of you that are watching, if you remember this, please let me know. Sherry, okay, it is supposed to reach 71 today, colder and stormy tomorrow. Okay, wow, that's really warm for you, right? Do you normally get that warm at that time of year? So yeah, we've got that going on here as well, right? Our earth is starting to shift and change because the seasons are changing. But there are a lot of things that are changing due to the fact that because of man's advancement in technology, because we have progressed and created and built things, if you think about just the turn of the century, think about the 1920s and then the 30s, you had wars, you had the World War II. And then coming out of that, we were in a season of such blessing and production after World War II, right? And so by 1970, guys, all you have to do, I Googled this earlier and I was like, oh my gosh, do I have that screen up? Let me see. I thought I saved it. If you just, yes, I do. Okay, if you just Google photos of 1970 pollution. I gotta show you this. This is just like when I saw this, I was like, oh my Lord. Here we go. There it is. If you just Google photos of 1970 pollution, this is what it looks like. Okay, I'm gonna do something so you can, hold on just a second. I am going to change something here so you can see that a little better. Oh, okay, I guess I can't do it while I'm in the show. All right. Guys, look at those pictures. Any pictures that you look at there on that screen, look at the air. You notice that the color is either mostly brown or gray. It is so thick. We were creating, man was creating machines and things that were so helpful to the progress of travel and manufacturing and so many other things that improved our life. And yet in some ways we didn't think about the impact that was going to have on the planet. So you notice the air is just toxic. I remember this as a child. 1970, I'm 8 years old. I remember being in California and the air looking like that. Now in Hawaii, we didn't have much of a problem with that because the trade winds are so strong. When you're in the islands, you don't have that pollution kind of problem. But even on the islands and places where the traffic is thick and heavy, the air is just stagnant. So that's what the air looked like in 1970 because there were absolutely no regulations or any kind of, hey guys, we might want to think about this when we're making stuff, right? Especially as things were being produced en masse, right? Think of all the cars, think of all the planes traveling, think of all the machines and the factories that were belching things out into the air. And this was on a global scale, not just in the United States. But in the United States, there was a congressman who really took it upon himself to make this the forefront of the legislative agenda that year because there were no legal or regulatory mechanisms put in place to protect our environment, to protect the planet, protect the globe, saying, all right, people, there's more of us here living. We can't just all do what we want willy-nilly. There has to be some accountability and responsibility for taking care of the planet that we live on because we all live on the planet, and if the planet goes, we all go, right? But then when I read something like the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, everything that dwells on it, everything. We're not here forever. We don't own this. We came into this place, and we're going to be leaving this place. And we're not taking any of this stuff with us. We get to travel through. So really, this is not ours, and we need to treat it with the respect and the love. That's what the Hawaiian people were, their connection to the land. They knew where their source came from. And in fact, their mythology goes back to stories of how people were actually children of the earth, which when you think about the creation story, God created man out of the dust of the ground and blew into his nostrils the breath of life. We come from this planet. So if we don't take care of it, we continue to destroy it. So Senator Gaylord Nelson created Earth Day as a way for them to focus their legislative agenda on putting some things into place that help protect our planet. So that's why we have Earth Day. That's why there is such a movement, and people, especially now with modern technology, with NFTs, with things that are being created, with how much we use and drain electricity from the power grid, what is that doing to our planet? Deforestation, removing habitats of animals. The global is warming because of the environmental damage, because of the hole in the ozone layer that protects our Earth. Scientists have studied these things. They have facts to back it up. It is a credible problem we need to think about. So what can we do, right? What can we do? Well, people started doing a lot of things when the pandemic hit. I don't know about you, but a lot of people, because they were home and needed something to do, because they were worried about food sources and where they come from. How do we get food? We are no longer a people who live agriculturally and understand that, I'm going to go out in my backyard and plow it and plant a garden. Well, why not? Why not? Why not? My friend and I have been talking about different ideas and things we want to do with the garden back here. We have finally have a contract and are in the process of selling our other house, which we can finally put closure on that. That's going to help us really put focus in this house. But we have been planting in the garden. Let me show you guys. It makes me so happy. Now we look out in our room and look at there. This is just one of 2 hibiscus plants that we put in the backyard. I can't wait till these things get big in a year or 2. During the wintertime, we're going to have to really wrap them and take care of them. But I tell you, look at the beauty of those plants. The hibiscus. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, to walk out in the backyard now and see that, oh, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And oh, what beauty can happen. So I don't know if you are gardening. I know a lot of friends that have been starting to garden. Again, when you get stuff like this in the mail, or you just go to pick up a couple of things, a couple of bags of dirt, and you walk in right at the time when all the spring flowers have arrived, right? So we've been going through those. We have been planting in our garden. A lot of people started gardening, especially during the pandemic. Here are some interesting facts. The pandemic created 18.3 million new gardeners, most of whom are millennials. Shout out to millennials, y'all. We're sipping saluting you this morning. 42% of gardeners spent more time gardening during the pandemic. 42%, guys. That's a lot. That's a lot. And so they really focused their time. I started seeing people um, posting pictures of the vegetables they were getting out of their garden, the salads they were making out of their garden, the herbs they were cooking with out of their garden, the flowers that were being planted, the blooms that were starting to come up. I have been enjoying watching my friends' gardens come alive. Um, and I think that just gave us a renewed sense of the beauty that we can create in our own space, right? Just think of the stories that are created in the process of going to get your garden, of you planting your garden, how you feel about your garden, watching your garden come to life. It's amazing. Global online sales of gardening goods doubled during the pandemic. 55% of American households engage in gardening activities. Even if if maybe you live in an apartment, but you have planters that you're putting out on your patio or in your apartment just to spice it up and give it some life. And if you haven't, try it. Start with a few plants. You got to get your hands in the dirt and experiment in order to appreciate how much fun gardening is. So I've got some new books that I came across that I thought were fun. Books for kids, book for adults. You know how much I love books. So here's a fun one. I'm going to be sending this to my grandson. It's called E is for Earth. It's a board book, right? It's a little board book, so it's pretty sturdy. And beautiful illustrations. A is for activist, right? To help them understand why are people speaking out? Why are they protesting? Why are there some groups of people who are wanting to save the planet, right? And take care of things. Why are they doing that? B is for bicycle, right? B is for bicycle, a way to get around, transportation. It doesn't impact the earth with fumes, right? C is for compost. D is for dam. So it goes through the alphabet with words having to do with taking care of our planet. E is for energy. F is for flora and fauna. G is for green. H is for habitat, right? So much fun. Fun little a little board book. It's called E is for Earth. I thought it was cute, so I picked that up for him. I picked this up for Michael and me because we've been thinking about it and talking about it. So I got this book after sitting down and looking through it. It's called Gardening for Everyone, Growing Vegetables, Herbs, and More at Home. Written by Julia Watkins. She's the author of Simply Living Well, if you're familiar with that book. I was drawn to this. I loved the cover, right? I mean, that could be me. And I had a garden back in, let's see, was it 2014, 2015 at my house in Nashville? I have some raised planter beds and I put in some vegetable gardens. And let me tell you what, just those little standing beds gave me so many vegetables. I was giving them away to people. My herb garden just grew out of control. It looked like I was bagging marijuana when really it was basil and thyme. And just giving them to friends. Here's some fresh herbs. Or putting up the herbs and drying them so that I could have them for later. And put them in my little, my little seasoning bottles that I had. So that was fun, but boy, was it some work. So I learned a lot of things through that process. I learned what things I can tend to well and others that I kind of missed, you know? And so that helped me kind of get an idea for what gardening's like. Michael's really good at creating. I mean, he created the backyard at his other house, which is absolutely gorgeous. So together, we're going to try to think about some ways we can utilize our lower backyard. And we were thinking of maybe putting in a garden where we can have some things. We're going to start with the butterfly garden and help the pollinators come. We're going to also see, we got critters. We've been having trouble with a raccoon lately in our backyard. Trouble with a raccoon? Yes, they poop everywhere. It's really nasty, and they tear up stuff. And they dug around our plants after we planted the flowers. They didn't dig up the flowers, which I was so great, but they dug all the holes around them because they were looking for insects and snakes. So, so we had to contend with that, right? Um, so a lot of things, a lot of great things you have to think about when you're outside, when you're gardening, when you're getting your hands in the dirt. So this was great. It just really takes you from step one to step two of getting your garden beds prepared, what the weather is going to be like during when you want to plant. There are so many things you have to think about and think ahead and plan for when you have a garden. So gardening for everyone. Um, if this is for you, I'm going to be putting links below in the comment threads of this broadcast. I'll be posting them online as well, and recommending these books for you to pick up. I'm going to enjoy that one. I know I am. If I'm going to try to do something, I don't mind doing online research, but I also like having a book in my hands. This one, super fun. It's called Water, A Deep Dive of Discovery by Barefoot Books. If you're familiar with Barefoot Books, but they have a series of books for kids. This includes 8 stories from authors from around the world. This is for your 8 to 12-year-olds. I think this is such a fun book. Lots of chapters about different aspects of water. Water is life. The different maps. So a map of all the water on the earth. These are for your kids that are in like third to 5th grade. I think this would be a great book. Talks about all kinds of things. Milo, are you appreciating story time? Look at here. Here we go. The Milo. Milo's having story time. Our watery world. And with each page, I don't know if you can see these here. Ooh, let me hold it. It's pretty big. Pretty big book. Here we go. All right. If you see these little things right here, they're called dive deeps, and they're little flaps that come up, and they give readers different activities. So different things to think about, different research. It's written in facts of 1% is fresh water, including lakes, rivers, and streams. Some people call this sweet water. It doesn't contain the dissolved salts that the earth does. Most of the world's fresh water isn't on the surface, though. You'll find it here, under the ground. It's called groundwater. In the dirt, soil moisture, and in the air, water vapor. I mean, think about, this is when kids are really getting into science, learning more about the planet, right? Learning more about life, insects and bugs and things like that. Then there's some fun little stories from authors from around the world to help children understand culture and start understanding about peoples from different places around the globe. Maps, the map of marvels, and so it has maps of all the places with water. This has a nice little fold-out page here, right? There's one on this side. You can see that. There's one on this side. There's one on this side. Beautiful book, beautifully rendered, beautifully illustrated. Water, a deep dive of discovery. The Barefoot Book series. And you'll have to check them out. This is really fun. Again, I'm going to put the links to these books. But if you have some kids that are going to be, they're already itching they're getting ready to be out of school, and maybe you want to start a garden with them just as an activity for them to do over the summer, and help you, maybe be your helper in the garden that you want to put in, or plant some flowers, or just, sort of spruce up your yard, if you will. So those 3 books, I'll be putting the links again in the comments, sharing these on my socials. Check them out. I thought they were fun. They made me stop in the bookstore and pick them up and look at them. A couple of them were highly recommended from people in the bookstore. I always appreciate. Shout out to Richard at in Terabang. He's always super helpful with books for kids, any kind of recommendations that I look for when I'm looking for some great reads. So I hope you'll pick up some of those and check them out. So again, we're doing things around the house. I, even at the beginning of the year, thought about this aspect of what I could do to sort of lessen my impact, because all we can do is be responsible for ourselves, right? And we're thankful for the men and women who fight so hard to create legislation that will help protect our planet, that will protect the water sources. So, because we're all sharing drinking water on this planet. So in 1976, Congress passed the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act to increase recycling and conservation efforts as waste was becoming a problem. We were generating more waste than what we could manage and deal with. So there had to be some rules and some things put in place. Why we had emissions testing on cars so that we were not all driving our cars around belching out, toxic fumes to everybody. Car manufacturers had to come up with ways to filter that or contain that, or even improve the technology so that it was cleaner burning rather than, and that's why we have electric cars. That's why they're trying to experiment with coming up with a different form of energy and a way that will be less impactful on our earth. So in 1976, this act was created, and this is when it is estimated that the whole reduce, reuse, recycle came into being. You remember that? Those of us that was a big thing when I was in school. We all learned about it. We all learned about it. And so I'm really pleased when we take out our trash and our recycling bin has more in it than our trash bin does. I am trying to really tighten down some things. I have a container in the back of my car. I have like a car organizer, if you will, in the back. And I have bags from every store now when I go to even North Park, and I know the stores I'm going to go to. I take bags from when I was there before. And especially when they give you nice shopping bags. Here you go. Here's your, vinyl logo. God, I could use this as a cool bag. Also, bag, right, to take your clothes from. I don't want to throw those away. I literally take the bag from the store to my house. I'm not going to throw it away, right? Have you ever had that happen? Yes. Oh, Kelly, you just picked up plants for your garden. Listen, right? It is that time of year. So we're doing things to make our own environments beautiful, and we need to think about how we impact our communities, right? And so how this whole reduce, recycle, reuse thing, right? So reduce means to reduce the amount of waste we produce, right? Which means reusing a lot of things we already have. And guys, I don't know about you, but I don't know how I collected so much stuff. Of course, I've lived a long time, but I've moved a lot. And I would have thought with every move, I would purge more. Oh my gosh. I'm still going back to Nashville, guys, and cleaning the garage. I cannot wait until I can show you that my garage is clean and I can say it is finished. it is finished. Let's see. 7 years. I have lived here 7 years already. No, wait a minute. 2017. No, 5 years. 5 years. 5 years that I've lived here in Dallas. And I'm still going back to Tennessee and cleaning up the garage. And I'm still not, and I'm not going to be finished. It's probably going to take another year. But I'm going through things. And so I go through clothes, right? And if I can't use them, I'm going to gift them to someone who can. I'm trying to get a little more efficient with my stuff. Good grief, this office, one of my projects this weekend is to clean this stinking office. Looking at things I can reuse. And if I can't reuse, to recycle them to somebody else or somewhere where they can be safely, cleanly done away with, right? Making sure that the trash that we get rid of is trash that can be broken down. Our water is starting to show plastic particles in it. We've got to take care of the earth. So Again, as part of the Hawaiian culture, we take care of the earth. And this week, the Merry Monarch Festival is going on. Oh, you guys, if you followed me long enough, you know how much I love the Merry Monarch Festival. The only trouble I have is that I have to stay up really, really, really late if I want to watch it because it's Hawaiian time and they're 5 hours different. So even though the show there starts at like 7, that means it's midnight, 11 or midnight when it starts and it goes all through the night. So I would have to stay up and not sleep. So maybe I do that Saturday, maybe I do that tonight and watch the ancient style and then go to sleep Sunday morning and sleep in a little bit. We'll see. Uh, yeah, but the Merry Monarch Festival. And so the Hawaiian people are celebrating through the art of dance, through the art of music, and it celebrates their culture of being people of the Aina, people of the land. So if you know anything about Hawaii, or if you know about Hawaii at all, their state motto sums up how they feel. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. That's what it says. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. Brother Izzy, the Hawaiian singer, did this in song. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono o Hawaii. Oh, beautiful song, moving song, one that helps the Hawaiian people remember what this means. So, in translation, it means the life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. That kind of goes along with the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, right? The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. This is the state motto. There's another saying that Hawaiians have. Let me show you this one. He ali'i ka aina, he kauwa ke kanaka. This means the land is the chief, man is its servant. Wise words from a culture so born of the earth. The Hawaiian people respect the land, they appreciate the land, they love the land, they fight for the land because they know that it's from the land with which their culture comes from. It's all based around the beauty of the islands and their stories told through dance and song and chants. It's not just singing. That was kind of changed when the missionaries came over to the islands to change what were their meles or their chants, their oral histories. All of the stories, all of their laws were kept in the form of meles. The Hawaiians didn't have a written language. And so this is how their culture saved their stories and transferred those stories on to the next generation, was through the art of dance. So the Merry Monarch Festival. Let me pull up a screen. I'll take you to the website. You can see where it is here. So I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this year's competition, to see which dance halaus win, to watch some of the performances of these incredible groups. Let's see, I'm trying to get to the main website. Here we go. So it's marymonarch.com. I'll put that here in the chat. Here you go. Ooh, and with the beauty of the spring comes coughing. I have my window open over here, so a blast of that warm air from the tree it just blew in my window. Whoo-wee. Springtime, gardening, flowers, trees, allergies. So this whole reduce, reuse, recycle. The Merry Monarch Festival celebrates the Hawaiian culture's appreciation of how they live this life anyway. This slogan didn't really need to be repeated to them. Their way of life reflects this. So, how can we do that? Like I said, I'm taking small steps. I'm trying to not use plastic bags. So, that means I go into the stores and I take my bags with me. People always look at me, you want a bag? I said, no, you know why? Because I take that bag and I take it home, and what am I going to do with the bag? I'm going to throw it in the trash, right? So I'm trying to eliminate things like that. I'm trying to take small things out of the habit cycle that I've created to see if I can lessen my footprint and support those groups who are trying to work hard on behalf of the people who are trying to represent and do things. We support an organization of fishermen that go out and they are trying to clean up the trash that's in the ocean. That's one of the things we try to get behind. Helping organizations like that. Another great organization that has started is Water.org. This is an organization that was started, I believe Matt Damon is involved. Sorry, guys. So let me show you this. Matt Damon has collaborated with a gentleman named Gary White, who also has a nonprofit organization. This is the collections of stories of their mission as they've gone out to try to help secure clean water for third world populations. They tell the story of how they've gone into these places and set up water. Just having, like I said, the fact that I have filtered water that I can go down and get and refill my bottle, that's another thing I'm trying to do. I bought a case of these bottles because I use them a lot and everything. But what we've tried to do, what Michael and I are trying to do is when we drink these, then we go to our filtered water and turn it on and fill these bottles up and use them again. We put them in our refrigerators. Um, we have them in the cars. So that way we always have water and we're not buying a bunch of these plastic bottles. We have these that we're trying to reuse. And then maybe after a month, or a couple of months or so, we will put them in our recycling bin. And then we also have like drinking containers that are not plastic bottles. But when we do get a pack, and I'm talking like a pack of maybe 12 that we keep, and we use those and we refill them. That's just one way we can do that to kind of cut down on the plastic because there's a lot of plastic. So this organization, Water.org, this is the story of how they started these nonprofits, how these nonprofits are affecting their local communities. They go into like Asia and to Africa and into places in Latin America, and they are helping people find, clean water and then set that up in their communities so that there's water available to all of the people. So check that out again. I am right, right. When you and your husband visited Hawaii, it was assumed you had your own reusable bags when shopping. Absolutely, it's the same way in California because on the islands, especially, there's no space. Landfills. Where are you going to put landfills in Hawaii? Do they have places for it? Yes, but they have to ship their. Sometimes they have to ship their trash off. So, I mean, if you think about that, a lot of organizations, a lot of nonprofit organizations in Hawaii deal with things that impact the environment. And so they're looking for that. And so when you travel, yes, that's one of the things. I'm gonna have to tell my kids when we go later this summer, you're gonna have to take some bags because they believe that you already have shopping bags. But why not? Why not take them? It also reduces how much we're gonna purchase. I'm going to get like souvenirs and things that I'm going to either give people or that I'm going to use, but I'm not going to come home with 2 suitcases full of stuff. I would like to. Don't get me wrong. But what can we feasibly use, right? Can rein in those desires, those impulses to just buy things. So those are ways we can really impact our world and help others. And then maybe, I don't know, work with your local churches on neighborhood cleanups. Maybe they're having a sale in the church, recycling some items to help families that are in need, right? Where are some families in need or some people or organizations that we can help? I take my clothing to a lot of organizations for women who are, uh, coming back into the work cycle, even helping women who have been homeless that are working their way up to get back on their feet and they need some clothes for work. I took a lot of my clothes, and gave them to organizations like that who are helping women because I don't need them anymore. I'm not wearing them, but I want another woman to be able to use them, right? So, all of those things, if we can think of ways to do that and we are actively doing that, then we are doing our part and we can help support organizations who are doing their part to really make a difference in our world and help take care of our planet, right? Because the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It's really not our stuff. Um, you still use the ones you purchased there. Yes, that's a fun thing to do too, right? It's great souvenirs. I have some shopping bags like that are from the San Diego Zoo. They're from different places we visited. It's fun. It's a fun way to have a souvenir and have a souvenir that is functional, that works. That's not just sitting in a closet somewhere or in a box somewhere, right? So, yeah, I'm gonna be. I feel like I tell you every week that I'm cleaning my office, and I really am. It's just it's in stages because I'm having to get rid of stuff. Which, speaking of getting rid of stuff, it's that time in the segment where we talk about giving away free books. I've got some free books today. Got some more books. I'm trying to separate them in piles of like these are the books I'm giving away. Next weekend is the last weekend, guys, and I'm going to be giving away. Just so you know, I'm going to be giving away a copy of the book that we have been reading for our book club. This has been a fun read. Oh my goodness. It's called The Windsor Knot. It is the first in a series called Her Majesty, the Queen Investigates. It is a mystery, murder mystery series that this author has put out. This is the first of the series. We've been enjoying it in book club. I'm going to be talking about the story next weekend, talking about book club and sharing the May book pick, which I'm super excited about because we're going to start that and then have some summer reads coming up. So if you want to jump into the book club for May, maybe you've been dealing with school or work or whatever, or you've got lots of things going on your plate and you can't even think about a book club till your kids get out of school. Join us in May. It's going to be a super fun book. I'll be talking about it next weekend and introducing that one. I'm going to be giving a copy of this away as well as a bundle of other stuff because, I got books. I'm telling you, I might just make this an ongoing thing. Maybe I do free book giveaway 1 week in podcast. So I can just keep getting rid of stuff, right? Recycling and helping so that other people can reuse my old books. So if you want to join book club, you can do that. If you want to be a part of the drawing of the books, comment in this thread what you're doing right now. Like and follow the page so you get notifications of when I'm going live so that when I give away books, you'll know when I'm doing that on socials. And you can also keep in touch with me on my website. So let me show you that contact information. You can do that all there. You can join the book club. Let me know if you have a story you've been thinking about writing or you've got an idea about writing a story and you haven't done it yet. I'm happy to help you with that. You just want to sit down and have coffee for 30 minutes and brainstorm some ideas about something that you could write about or a story you want to do or a blog you want to start. I can help you with all of those things. But you can also, again, join the book club, like and follow me on social media, and comment in the broadcast so that I know you watched it, right? Free books. So here's this week's free books. So glad to give these away. And they're great books too. I'm not going to give you stuff that is just like, oh, I don't know, I bought this and I didn't read it, so I'm going to give it to you. I might, but not this week. But one book is by a guy, talk about a DIY guy. This guy, if you've ever watched the show Dirty Jobs on Discovery, Mike Rowe. He's just and he's an incredible storyteller. His voice is great. He has a podcast called "That's the Way I Heard It," and it's so this book is a collection of those stories, just expanded a little bit. Also intertwined with his stories, with his parents, just some amazing people. Um, great book. Um, a ridiculously entertaining, seriously riveting collection of favorite episodes from America's #1 short form podcast, The Way I Heard It, along with a host of memories, ruminations, illustrations, and insights from Mike Rowe. He calls it a podcast for the serious listener with a short attention span. His podcasts don't go any more than maybe 12 minutes. So, I mean, the stories are great, but this is a great book. So I'll be giving a copy of this away today in this week's broadcast. So those of you that have been commenting and participating in the discussion here on the broadcast, thank you for that. If you're watching via replay, go ahead and do that. You have until today to do that. All entries from today will count. So if you watched it via replay, you can do that. You can win 3 books. The other book I have is a truly empowering book for women. It's called The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. The Moment of Lift, How Empowering Women Changes the World. Of course, we know she and Bill Gates have divorced in a very protracted divorce proceeding. But for the last 20 years, Melinda Gates has been on a mission to find solutions for people with the most urgent needs wherever they live. Melinda's journey has taught her that in order to lift a society up, you need to stop keeping women down. In this moving and compelling book, Melinda shares lessons that she's learned from the inspiring people she's met during her work around the world, along with unforgettable stories backed by startling data about issues such as child marriage, unpaid labor, and lack of access to contraceptives. And for the first time, she writes about her personal life and the road to equality in her own marriage. Throughout, she shows how there never been more has never been more has ooh that there has never been more opportunity to change the world and ourselves. She has been behind a lot of efforts to do things to help people, to help get water to people, help women to get things they need for their feminine health programs in countries where there isn't even any medical care for women, and doing that and helping lift up a society. So when we do that, when we empower other people by going in and giving them a hand when they need it, helping recreate, I mean, Ukraine is suffering and is going to be suffering for a very long time in the rebuild of their nation. So how do we get behind that? Well, we read some great books and great stories of other people who have been there and done that and helped people. So I'll be giving away these 2 books in this week's broadcast. I'm going to get another drink because the cough has returned. I think I'm going to turn this into a podcast so I can strip the audio and edit out the parts where I cough or I sneeze or I have to take a drink. Because we do that on live broadcasts. Keeps me a little human, right? Definitely not a curated feed. So, guys, we are going to be ending the month. Next week, I'll be out of town. I'll be coming to you live from California. I'll be getting up super early to do the broadcast. So I hope you'll join me here and have some coffee with me there while I'm out of town. We're going to be talking about book club. We're going to be talking about this book called The Windsor Knot. And I'm also going to be sharing with you some interviews that I'm going to have coming up. I'm going to give you a little snippet of them. But I really love it when my authors publish their books, when they send me texts that say, we have a book, and there's crying emoji, and it's a picture of them holding their book in their hand. Nothing gives me more joy as an editor than to see that happen. So I've got some great friends, some great women who are doing some great things in their community, and I'm going to be in Nashville the first 2 weeks of May, so I'm going to be interviewing some of my friends who are doing some incredible work, helping the communities there in Nashville. helping women raise themselves up if they're coming out of homelessness, if they're coming out of messy divorces, if they're coming out of circumstances, how to get back on their feet and get their lives in order so that they can be the amazing women that God has created them to be. So I can't wait to share their interviews. I can't wait to share their stories. And I can't wait for you to meet my one author who has published a book about her story. And we're going to be talking about how we write our stories. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about publishing in the process during the month of May so that maybe you can think about over the summer working on your own work and think about truly getting it published. Maybe you submit an article for a magazine. Maybe you create a blog. Maybe you create a newsletter for the parents of the kids in your, I don't know, your kids' sports circles or a Bible study at church. Whatever you're involved in, um, communicating with those people and building your own community. It's really fun. And doing it beyond social media, not just posting on the socials, but truly having some work that you can share with others on a regular basis. I'm working on mine. God love it. I would share more of mine if I wasn't working, but I'm dedicating some dedicated time over the summer to my own writing. I have to do this. If I'm going to talk about writing, I need to share more of mine. I have it in draft form, just haven't thrown it out there on the blog. So that's one of my projects to do over this summer. So we'll be talking about that and talking about stories, your story, my story, and how they all fit in the grand story of this wonderful earth that we live on. All right. So, guys, have a great weekend. Thanks for sharing coffee with me. I always love getting to just sit back and relax and chat with you. Thanks for those who are watching in the comments here. You have a great deal of respect for Melinda Gates and the work she does. Oh, I do too, Sherry. I do too. And she's a Dallas girl, which is it's really fun because there's a lot of local buzz about her when she does projects. So they're very proud that they're hometown girl. And so, yes, so this is a great book. So I am going to be giving this away along with Mike Rowe's book. I love them. I love sharing books with you all. Thank you all for being here. Again, it is an honor and a privilege to get to share some time with you each week. Thank you for taking the time to spend a couple of minutes with me. I truly appreciate you. Have a great weekend, guys. Be blessed. Enjoy this day. Enjoy the fullness of the Lord and all that is within it, right? Have a blessed weekend. I'll be back with you next Saturday where we talk about what else? Coffee and books. Love y'all. Thanks for being here. See you next Saturday.